This is the GJRB Online Network.
Hello everyone, I'm Gary Russen. Welcome to a brand new addition to the GJRB family in the GJRB family of Gary Russen programs. This is the Gary Russen program.
Saturday Extra. Gee, that worked out well. Anywho, we got a great show lined up for you. Just stay with me because we got Ben Oceman on today, hopefully. If not, I got covered with a lot of news headlines, a lot of talk, a lot of music. It's going to be another fun Saturday. Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra, starting now.
Gary Russen on Skype, or just chat with Gary Russen with the GJRB Spreaker public site by clicking the balloon icon on the GJRB widget. And now, the Gary Russen program,
Saturday Extra. Yeah, where else can you find it, huh? Oh, there's other places. Believe me, there's a lot. There's a places, and I don't want that on right now. A lot of places where this show is now being heard. Just informed this morning on my email that I am also being heard now on Google Podcast. Yeah, so we're on not only Spotify, we're on Google Podcast. So you can also hear the show over there. Wasn't that pretty cool, huh? Also, on my Facebook page, a lot of people, I want to say thank you to a lot of people that have been reposting my show on Facebook. As I know we're well aware, a lot of people have been noticing my problem with them at this point of not posting all my programs on Facebook. Facebook has definitely blocked me for some apparent reason. Don't know why. And as a result, my programs aren't being heard on Facebook. I have to post them manually. And this kind of aggravates me to no end. I've been having kind of a problem with it. They want me to pay $10. And I think is it $10 a month? Something like that. I don't remember. I have to look back at it again. $10 to reach something like 67,000 people or something like that. Not exactly sure exactly what that is. But they want me to do that. I'm to pay a certain amount of chunk change in order to get listeners on this program. Well, I got other places I can broadcast. Technically, I mean, I can. I mean, there's a half a dozen other places I can broadcast. And, really, Facebook, they're going to be that way about it. I got other places I can post this program. MeWe, which is another place that I post. Also, Convo, where I can also broadcast my program on Convo. I can put on my show on Convo. And which kind of makes it easy for me because then I can Those two social sites have some followers, and if you want to follow me on them, that's great. I more than welcome to do so. If you want to be on the show with me, you can do that. And this is where it happens. This is where our show goes on the air, and you can be on the air with me. And we got a great show lined up for you today. I've got possibility now. I am waiting. Let's see. I had reminded Ben about 45 minutes ago, I think 45, maybe 50 minutes ago, that if he was going to be on. And right now, that was just a message on his messenger page. So I'm thinking, well, okay, let's see. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to think what I'm saying here. So I'm hoping maybe I'm hoping that maybe he'll hear from that I'll hear from him sometime within the hour. So if that don't happen for any reason, he doesn't make it on today, we'll make it another time again. There's always, a time to do that. So we'll work on that today, as well as I got plenty of news to talk about. I got plenty of stories to cover. So even if I don't hear from him today for any reason whatsoever, and I'll try him in the next hour, under that don't call us, we'll call you thing I always do, and see if I can contact him. I will call him. I left him a reminder around about after 2 o'clock, hoping that maybe I should have sent it maybe two more. I should have sent him 2 reminders to make sure that he caught it on his messenger page. Don't know if I'll get a hold of him. That I couldn't tell you. Let's see what happens, and we'll work on it. More than likely we might be able to get a hold of him today, and we'll see where we got it, and see where we at here. Hope you can join me today. We got a really good show. Ben Oceman will be on maybe, and if we don't get him on the air today, like I said, I got plenty of news to talk about. I got sports to talk about. I got movies, television. I got all kinds of trivia. We can do all kinds of stuff. I got program schedules to do, and some of the stuff I got going on the air this week. I got some more programming I want to accomplish. So I hope you'll stay with me today. The Gary Russen program Saturday Extra on GJRB Online, and now available on Google Podcast. Absolutely fabulous. So we've got a good show ahead in there. So we hope that you'll stay with me for all the good stuff. And we're going to take a brief break. Be right back. Got more of the Gary Russen program Saturday Extra coming up on the GJRB Online Network.
There's a problem on our roads today, and that is the safety of our children boarding and getting off the bus on busy roads. That problem is drivers who don't stop at a school bus when the arm is out, the lights are flashing, and the stop sign is out, leaving kids in danger of getting hit. That problem is also people who are so much in a hurry to get to work or too busy on their phones to pay attention to what's going on outside their windshield. As a result, someone hits a child getting off the bus. If you pass a school bus with its lights flashing, its arms out, and stop sign flashing, you have committed a stop arm violation. This is the law. Violators could cost you a suspension of your driver's license and a $250 fine. When you see a school bus stopped at the corner, letting off kids, stop 25 feet away from the bus. Don't take that chance. A public service announcement from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and GJRB Online.
Suicide's increasing among the youth, and many of them playing suicide games. This has to stop. Parents, watch your kids, and if you feel there's something going on and they are considering suicide, please talk to them.
Cadet dealer for expert advice, superior service, and exceptional offers.
Own the night, space travelers. Spaced Out Radio is on weeknights at 11 p.m. on Spreak 8.9.
Yes, pop up the volume. I played that yesterday at the end of my show, and I haven't heard that like God's forever. Just serious. Love this piece of music, man. A little weird, but I love it. Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, pop up the volume. Oh yeah. And we're back on the air, the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra on GJRB Online here on Spreaker across America. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We got a great show lined up for you today. And we're on the air until 6 o'clock Central Daylight with the best in Internet talk radio at its best here. GJRB Online on Spreaker. And we got a great program. I hope you'll be with me today. And we got Ben coming on and got... some really good people here, so hope you'll stay with me today. Got some interesting things that we're going to bring to you in the news, and you know, a lot of the tensions going on in with us and Iran. Gotta wonder about that one. It's kind of getting crazy. And then another woman stepped forward. And accused President Trump of raping her in I think the 1980s, if I'm not mistaken correctly. This happened. This is the latest accusation that we know so far. Columnist, she's a famed columnist who. In the 1990s, apparently, I guess, in a dressing room at Berghoff Goodman. Now, according to this, the woman whose name, let's see, I can remember her name now. Let's see, we got it down here. The full name should be down here somewhere. She's a columnist now, but apparently she had a show long time ago, back when. She's 75 now, but she used to be on a cable network. Her last name is Carol. Apparently, way back when, in a department store. Now this is really uncouth. He apparently assaulted her in a dressing room. The story goes, Jean Carroll, that's her name, Jean Carroll. She's a columnist now, but she had a program long time ago, back in the day, I guess back in the early days of cable. And she accused President Trump of allegedly sexually assaulting her in the 1990s in the dressing room at Berghoff Goodman. Trump tweeted in response, "I'll never have met this person in my life." So he, again, this is, again, more than likely kind of like
President Clinton, who claimed to say that, I didn't have sexual intercourse with Monica Lewinsky. This whole bit. Okay, so this whole bit's starting all over again. Carol makes the allegations in her coming book. She wrote a book. What do we need men for? A modest proposal, published in July 16th. An excerpt in the latest issue of the New York magazine, The Cut. The article titled "Hideous Men Donald Trump Assaulted Me in a Berghoff Goodman Dressing Room 23 years ago." But he's not alone on the list of awful men in my life, quote unquote. 75-year-old columnist who, when worked at the cable television as a cable television host, she was shopping at the luxury department store one evening back in 1995 or 96. One of New York's most famous men walked in and said, "Hey, you're vice." What does it say? "Hey, you're that vice lady. Hey, you're that real estate tycoon," she said, then 52 years old. According to Carol, Trump said that and stored by a present for a girl whom he didn't name. Okay, and the now president was married to Maria Maples, the mother of Tiffany Trump, in 1993 to 1999. Nothing to Trump's yammers about himself, like he's Alexander the Great ready to loot Babylon. Pair walked in around the store debating handbags and hats and making their way to the lingerie floor, where Trump allegedly demanded that Carol try a lacy sheer bodysuit. Okay. So, again, this is Donald Trump, apparently. This is according to his story. Now, I was listening to something before I went on the air that my wife was playing on the YouTube, and they interviewed her, apparently. The story goes that she kind of was going to laugh it off, so to speak, and then decided, well, they're going to report it. So, again, I wasn't there. I was 1995. I was here in Clinton, Iowa. It's just 95, 96. I was working here in Clinton, Iowa. I had my own place by myself. So I mean, I have no story on this. I can't. I have no authority to say what happened, what. But you have to wonder why. I mean, women are going to. I can understand that in a rape situation like that, they would rather forget the whole incident than to go and say, well, because I had a sister that went through that, so they rather forget the situation, which I can understand that. But all of a sudden, I think that it has to do, when talking about President Trump. Oh, by the way, hey, Black Dragon Radio is with us. Hi, Black Dragon Radio is with us. Black Dragon, hey, BJ. Good afternoon, Gary. I came on Spreaker this afternoon. Enjoy your Saturday radio show. I'm not really playing that much music today, BJ. This is kind of a talk show. The Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra, kind of go through the week on this program. It's kind of a Saturday version of the Gary Russen program, but it's kind of a laid-back show. I kind of go through the week, talk about headlines, what happened this week in the news,
things I was doing this week, stuff like that, kind of do a weekend review kind of thing. And I have a guest every once in a while, a friend of mine from Pittsburgh that comes on every so often on this program. His name is Ben Oceman, or Big Ben. I call him Ben. He's a good friend of mine. Ben Oceman will be with us, and we talk about what's going on in the news. He calls up the program a little bit. We chat for like about almost an hour or something. Last time I think we almost talked about an hour and a half, technically. And he's a fabulous guy. And we talk a lot about what's going on in the news and stuff. And what do you think about that? This tensions in Iran now? After they torpedoed one of our oil rigs. Good grief. And President Trump is not going to tolerate it. So I wonder what's going to happen with this. Because tensions are mounting between us and Iran right now. And you have to wonder what's going to become of it. And did you hear about that in New York City? Was it New York? And I'll be having that story coming up a little later on. There were mysterious-looking orbs seen in the sky over, not New York, Kansas City. I've been there. Kansas City. I had a layover in Kansas City back in 1995. And anyhow, after that drone was shot down, when I laugh about Trump, he goes, well, it was on man. It was on man. Well, duh. He said, like, how many times? Well, yeah, it's on the man. It's a drone. It's just, that was kind of like, really dumb. We knew that. Thank God it was unmanned. Thank God there was nobody in there. But they shot that drone down, and like, oh boy. Just have to wonder about this stuff. What's going to happen? And we're going to be talking more about that. And we'll talk about more about the incident with Jean Carroll and President Trump. And what you think about that one. Why all of a sudden this story is coming up? Well, here. And it's coming up just about the time he just started his re-election campaign. Amazing. We'll talk about that throughout the afternoon. Also coming up this afternoon, we have for you Weather on the Fives. And we're going to do that right now. Check out, see what's going on in the world of weather. See what's happening in the weather. Let's see, we got here right now. And take a look at Weather on the Fives. And we got some interesting weather across the U.S. map. It's a little bit warmer today here in Clinton, Iowa. We've had temperatures today expected to get up to the about 84 degrees. Although we're expecting some rain. There's a large storm system now over the west producing some thunderstorms and complexes that are flourishing over the top of the southern plains and heat ridge. The main threat of these storms are damaging winds today from the corridor of the east central plains, mid-Mississippi Valley, and the Tennessee Valley. These thunderstorms are capable of producing excessive rain and flash flooding. So we'll be watching that in the next hour here on the Gary Russen program. But if Ben doesn't get on, we'll try to get the Weather Nation on there and follow some of those storms, because there's some storms going on, especially down in the down in the south Mississippi Valley. So we're gonna check that out and see where some of these storms are and give you all the information on it. If there's any severe thunderstorm warnings and watches posted in certain states, we'll get a hold of it and let you know. Weather on the Fives, 25 and 55 minutes past the hour, right here on GJRB Online here on Spreaker. I'm Gary J. Russen. Thanks a lot for joining me. The Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra. And we've got some more really good stuff coming your way here, and a lot of interesting news. And we had Black Dragons Radio in at the gate. Okay, so thunderstorms on Monday. Yeah, if you're under an alert, let us know, because I'm sure some of your fellow listeners would, in your area, of course, you're probably the only listener from Texas, and unless John, our big bad soft underbelly, should say that, because that's what kicked me off our broadcast off. I believe that's what kicked. I remember now what kicked us off the air, or kicked us off Facebook. So I think it might have been that, because, you know, the liberal left wing snowflakes. Anyway, you know, they kind of got offended by the big fat soft underbelly thing. For some apparent reason. Don't know why. But anyway, you're listening to the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra, here on GJRB Online. And coming up, more news. We'll take a look at some more stories. I got some more interesting ones. We'll talk about those orbs. And see, I'm going to check back here with Ben and see what's going on. See if he's still online or isn't online yet. All coming up, plus a whole lot more, so stay with me. The Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra. And I thank you so much for joining me today here on Spreaker. I bring you some of the best in internet talk radio. GJRB Online here. It was a record by... okay, that was a hit record that was... charted originally from the McCoys in 1965, but the Ramsey Lewis Trio did a neat instrumental version of that song. We'll play it in its entirety later. It's a great piece of music. Love it. Gary J. Russen with you. Welcome aboard the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra, here on Spreaker across America. And thank you for joining me today. Always a pleasure to bring you some of this stuff. You know, the real good fun stuff. So glad you could be with me today. The Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra, here on Spreaker. And if you want to get in on the program, by the way, like I said earlier, we have now joined, and it was great to get that email this morning. I didn't see that till later. I am on Google Podcasts. Now, right now the link, I guess they have to put some kind of thing in their library or some kind of thing. Anyway, the link I will send to you, and I need to get it myself anyway, so I mean, I don't know if the link is working, but I'll try it later. And you'll be able to listen to it on Google Podcast. Also on Spotify. We're on there. The Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra, heard on Spotify. And also on right here on Spreaker. And also you can listen live on my Twitter page. I am the Radio Maniac. Go in there and get to see the antique radio emblem. It says GJRB Online next to it. Soon they'll be saying GJRB Online Network. And you can listen live right there. And I'm also going to put this show on just in just a little bit, I'm going to put this show also on the Pinterest page. So I haven't done that yet, but I will. Let's see if I can get in on that real quick. I was going to do that. And got to get into the habit of pulling up this show and sending it to all the social sites. But when I, the 45 minutes or whatever I do here, I had tried to stretch it out to an hour, and it doesn't really even out because it's 45 minutes, and 45 minutes it is. So what I do is, even though I still kind of stretch it out a little bit in the first hour, and then what happens is I will expand it out for the final part, or for the final, in other words, I'll take this show and you'll see this title twice. That means that is the first hour. When you see part 2, that's the second hour. When you see the final part, that's the last hour. Okay, so I'm doing that to split it up, and so far it seems to be working okay. I kind of come up with that idea, and but it still runs out no matter what. I mean, I could probably put another spot break in there, but then again, you're talking about 3 spot breaks to put 45 minutes into an hour, kind of like an hour TV show. You know, the hour TV show usually is like about 45, maybe 46 minutes. But when you talk about that's minus the commercials. Okay, minus the commercials. So you have to figure out in an hour program on a commercial station how many commercial breaks there are. It's just amazing. I mean, this is the profit they make from the networks. Okay, this is the money they make to put the program on, whatever to pay for ad time. And you got to figure, that's probably right. And since I do that, what I usually do instead of, and this is a Saturday program, so it's kind of laid back, kind of relaxing a little bit. If it were a weekday program, I probably would add another spot break. But my point of the matter is, Spreaker will still give me only 15 minutes coming out of the break anyway, no matter how much time I use. So I decided, well, I'll just use that time and flip over. If it was a regular weekday, I'd be having another spot break there. If today is Saturday, so I just kind of cut one spot break and maybe just flip over and break for station identification on my 9-foot signal, which is Spreaker FM 88.9 KSPR, and then come back for the remaining part of the hour. So that's pretty much what I do. It's 3:39 Central Daylight Time. That means I have about 13 minutes left. So that would be 49, maybe about 53. Pretty close to the end of the hour. About maybe 7 minutes left of the hour. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll just flip early. But like I said before, I could, at the 10 minutes to the hour, I can manually flip at station identification at around 10 to the hour, or I could do a station ID early, which I do sometimes on my 9-foot closed circuit. But I'm going to stay here until the end of the segment, and then we'll flip it over with an identification and keep going. I got some interesting stories that I want to talk about anyhow, and I thought I had, okay, here we go. I think that was, because I want to go down to where my show is. I need to go to the page. And see, I have a page called a title page on my documents here on the computer, and I'll go to that page on my documents, where it says page 26, and I have the show's title, the episode number, or the show's number, and the date of the broadcast, which is how I title my programs. And I'll go down there and I will copy paste the next part. So let's say I'm going now to the, it's going to be continuing with the title, the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra6 2219. That just means that I'm ending this hour. But then when I flip over to for the 4 o'clock hour, then it becomes the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra6 2219 Part 2. Okay, so that means that's hour 2. Okay, I could call it hour 1, hour 2, hour 3 instead of part. I mean, I thought about it. I should do that to make it easier for folks. Instead of calling it part 1, part 2, part 3, because I'm kind of getting tired of it anyway. But pretty soon, once our budget's up, I might be able to. Now, I'm waiting for another discount to pop up here on the Spreaker for that 3-hour broadcaster plan. And if another one comes up, well, then I'm probably going to be upgrading soon. I'll let you know when we do upgrade, though. And that's going to make it a lot easier. And not only that, for Google Podcast listeners and stuff, it'll be a lot easier because then I'll have to copy 3 times. It's annoying, but I do it. Particularly if I want to get audience for this broadcast. Also going to do is go back into my Spreaker public site where I'm doing this program, and I'm going to duplicate my page because I want to see how Spreaker's handling this. And so I want to go back into my main page. So I duplicate the other two pages so that I can stay in my chat room where Black Dog is listening. Black Dragon Radio Network is listening. I'm sorry about that, Black Dragon. Black Dragon Radio, heard, and he comes out of Texas, just north of Houston, LaPorte. And he's fabulous. Great 80s music. There's a great variety, but I'm glad when he joins me on the program. And a lot of other people are welcome to do so. And I'm checking to see if my show is being heard on other places. And let's see. I want to go into my episode list. And it's showing, well, yeah, that first part where it says 00:00:00. It's nothing. All that really is just the launching of my Spreaker public site. It's the launching of my Spreaker board, my console, to add that extra 15 minutes in there to stretch my show out to an hour. That is one of the reasons why I do that, the first hour. I really don't have to do that necessarily. I mean, I could probably just keep it. But next hour, I'm going to be just doing 45 minutes and then just flipping over at 1:45. This way, I can get my messages in the chat room a lot easier without having to go through that rigmarole, because it's not working anyway. It's not evening out, and it's a Saturday and all that good stuff. So I decided, well, why don't we just do it this way, just to make it simpler on ourselves. Let's just do 45 minutes next hour, and then flip at 4:45 and the next hour. Reason my new radio format, I got to read that here in a minute. Just take on a minute there, buddy. Trying to launch this program on my Pinterest page. Pinterest is fabulous. Reason for my radio show format is having old radio format set up. Yeah. My radio format name. Yeah. I get that. Are you a radio station, or are you just a online on Spreaker? You see, now I'm not technically a radio station per se. I just have an FM signal that carries maybe from here out my doorstep and maybe to the end of the sidewalk at the end of our block at the most. Okay, once you get past and out of our driveway or a parking lot here, because this is an apartment complex, I probably have some neighbors who would probably listen to me if they knew I was on FM. Once you leave the property, once you leave the area where I am broadcasting from, signal's gone. Because where my signal's located is near a couple Christian radio stations on 88.9 and around 88.9, and they will blow me out of the water. Signal will just kind of go right out. It'll just be gone. And so when you pull out of the driveway or the parking lot here, this building complex, it's gone. You only can hear it in this area. But it's a radio station. Cool. Now, is this a radio station that is licensed and carries a signal more than a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles? Are you a low-powered station? Are you a legit over-the-air with a huge tower and all that stuff? In your area. That's cool. I love it when a radio station simulcast online, because it's really cool. I've been really into that because when I was younger, I used to do DX. It's internet based. Okay, I used to. I don't know if you did this, BJ, but I used to do that. I used to love picking up faraway radio stations. I had shortwave radio. I used to listen to Europe, and it was always fun just to pull in radio stations from far away, especially at night when it got dark. I used to listen to WLS, not from Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania there, and even when we used to go on trips down to Florida and to be able to listen to KDKA back home, it was absolutely fabulous to be able to listen to faraway stations. And even with TV, I missed analog television, because I used to, I knew like there's a storm coming, you get these lines on your TV, like interference lines, or whatever it's called, when you had regular antenna, when you had regular over-the-air analog. You used to get like that lines on your screen, like static. If you went to an empty channel where there was no channel on the air in that area, you get some channel from somewhere. I call it TVDX, TV skip. Oh man, I was in hog heaven when the skip came in, because I used to get all kinds of channels. When I lived in Ohio for a while, I used to get Detroit. On a really good day, I used to pull in Detroit, Channel 50. And they had some of the greatest programs on there. As a matter of fact, I used to get Svengoolie. Was it Svengoolie? No, it was some other guy. The Ghoul. That's what it was, the Ghoul. He was a popular horror host in Cleveland. Cleveland and Detroit. And I used to get him like maybe two times on a Saturday. It was hot heaven, no doubt. The skip, I used to love to do TV skip, and it was a blast. I used to love it. I mean, I'd get all kinds of channels when the weather was like, and the best time happened usually ahead of a storm. If you just ahead of a storm coming, you get all kinds of signals on your TV, empty numbers in your area, and you get some skip. That's what I used to call it, either TV skip. And, of course, being a CBer, I used to talk all over the place on my CB, and skip during the day. And I used to talk all over the place. I remember Joe Bob brings and enjoy the Monster Vision every Saturday night. Now, yeah, you had that, huh? Well, see, in Pittsburgh, we had Bill Cardell. And if you remember who he is, watch Night of the Living Dead, the black and white 1968 version. Not the so-called remake. I just don't like the remake. It was okay, but, Zillionople didn't have a television station. And I know that area, okay? The movie that I like is the original black and white Night of the Living Dead, the original one, and that was filmed in Elwood City. I remember exactly. But anyway, good movie, and one of the best horror flicks there ever will be. In that film, the reporter, if you've ever watched Night of the Living Dead, the reporter in that movie was Bill Cardell, and he was at Channel 11 at the time. He was a reporter for Channel 11, and he did all kinds of stuff on Channel 11. He was a reporter. He was a newscaster. He did weather, and he had a horror movie show called Chiller Theater. And it was on for years and years and years and years in the Pittsburgh area on Channel 11, our NBC affiliate. And he did another show called Studio Wrestling, and he was a good friends with, I'm going down to about 50 some odd seconds left of this segment. He's good. He was real good friends with Bruno Sammartino, who was the champion. I'll talk about that coming up. Plus, I got a lot more other stuff coming your way, and I'm going to see if Ben's ready to come on with us. In about 30 seconds, we're going to take a break here real brief for station identification, and we'll continue with the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra. Thanks a lot for joining me today. I'm always glad to bring you this. This is fun radio at its best. And we'll be right back. I got more of the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra, coming up in just a moment on the GJRB online network. We'll be right back in just about a few seconds here now. Hang on. Be right back.